In the real estate industry, we are surrounded by, well, in South Africa, nearly 34,000 agents. In the world, they estimate that there is over 1 million agents in the world. And when we start to research, how do we do things differently? It actually becomes quite a challenge. Why? Because an idea that you want to have, generally, we go out and we search it or we see it from somebody else. And then we go, okay, they're doing it and it's working. I don't want to do it. I want to do something different. And we end up not doing it at all. But the truth is, when you find something that is unique, when you find something that you've never seen before, you actually will look at it and go, hey, maybe I can do it. So I had a question that was proposed to me. Stuart, how do we do sales and how do we sell a property in a new, innovative way? And in order to do a bit of research behind this, I went down the road that every agent typically goes down, and you start searching and you start researching and you start digging up all of these different ideas from many agents out there. And then it came to me, what I'm searching, well, you're searching the exact same thing. We're all searching a way of doing something in an innovative way in an industry that's, well, the only way that we can learn from innovation if we search it is by seeing what other people did. So this is what I actually did. I said, I'm not going to be innovative in the real estate industry. I want to pick a different industry. And this is where we start bringing innovation in. I looked at the motor industry and I said, what are the innovative ways that if I was selling a new or a used vehicle, what would be some innovative ways that they would go ahead and sell a car? And then suddenly these ideas started to actually flow in. And what I got to realize is there's a lot of innovative ideas in the motor industry that's not used in the real estate industry. And that's how my thought process starts to go when I look at something innovative. What I do is I look at other industries, I research what is innovative and what's really working in that industry, and then try to actually migrate it into the real estate industry because then it'll be something brand new. So that's exactly how this session was actually formulated. Started down the rabbit hole of the real estate and said, nope, I need to come out. And I actually went through the green pastures of the motor industry to see what they do. And I started to pick out a whole lot of areas. Now, you might say, but Stuart, that's something that is very different. You know, selling a car, selling a house, it's very different. No, actually, there's some fundamentals which is exactly the same. You have a buyer that's interested and willing and able. They see a product that they like and they want, and they have a discussion. They view the product, then they put in an offer on that particular product. They go through a financial process, and at the end, they own the product. What is different? Absolutely nothing. So the key to innovative sales is actually looking at other industries, seeing what's there, what is working there, and adopting it into an industry to become innovative. So that's where all of this was formulated and went around. So using that as the basis, you're going to actually see, hey, this could actually work. Now, there was a key phrase in doing all this research, and it really came out to me when I bought a vehicle about a year and a bit ago. When I walked into the actual dealership, I had two of the actual car dealers at high speed coming towards me. And they started to, hey, well, whoever was there first, then started that actual conversation. Now, I went through to probably about 6 or 7 different dealerships. Think about this. A buyer goes through about 6 or 7 different real estate agents. There's a bit of a similarity there. And in that particular journey, I purchased a vehicle through not the one that gave me all the information, all the specs, and I knew that already, by the way. I'd already researched it. but I bought the vehicle from the person that actually responded back to me. And actually, it was the same afternoon and the next day came back and said, "Hey, by the way, how's your day going? Um, just wanted to get some form of feedback. What are your thoughts on the vehicle that you test drove?" And ultimately, as I mentioned, I actually met with probably 6, 7 different of these sales representatives. Only one came back to me, and I purchased from that one. So that was a personal experience that actually got this innovative way. Well, the first innovative way, just respond back to your clients. When they're coming through to you, they are meeting with so many other agents out there. The first innovative way is just respond back to them. If they've taken the time to meet you, just go back to them and say, "Hey, how was your morning? How was your day? Just want to get your thoughts on the property. I'd love to take you to another property if this one didn't suit." You see, having that doesn't sound innovative, but I can tell you it is, because I've seen it with real estate agents that they have a buyer coming through, and that's it. The buyer comes to them, they never have any communications thereafter. So that's the innovative way, the first way that I wanted to share with you, which sounds so obvious, but from personal experience, it's the one that actually responded that I actually purchased the vehicle from. The second innovative way, and this one is now, I'm going to explode this, because now what I did was I saw the personal experience and the similarities between the two industries. And then I wanted to have a look at, well, if I took that example of meeting with that particular salesperson, that whole process that I went through, what could they have done better? And what would have actually taken that experience to the next level? And that's where I came up with a whole heap of ideas that I'm going to share with you now. And the very first one that I want you, and you can actually write this down: meet people where they are, not just online. Meet people where they are, not just online. So too often, we create everything in an online environment, we put it out into the universe, we sit back and we're waiting for people to go through that online environment. But there's no relationship that's actually being built there. So if someone actually does message you back, meet them where they are. You need to get into that, whether it's a face to face, whether it's a digital, you can even do it on a WhatsApp video call. Meet them where they are, not just online, which is basically kind of like an online brochure. That's what we make reference to. So, and I use that as the theme into, well, how do I meet people where they are? And I'm not just online all the time. And here's a number of ideas that I've actually come up with that are fairly innovative. And actually, some of them are even used today, but we can actually make a bit of a twist. The first one that I want to share with you is launching your properties when you've just listed them. And when you just get it listing, you've got that mandate. Take that property and explode it like you cannot believe. Launch it like you cannot believe. And what I mean by launching it like you cannot believe, do something like this: an unveiling day. All right. So if you think about in the motor industry, and this is where I was reflecting it, they've got a new vehicle that comes out, brand new vehicle. Nobody's actually seen it, except everybody's seen it online, but they don't really know what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, anything like that. And when they go to these unveilings, they've got this big cloth and a big red bow on the actual car. Somebody stands up there, they give a nice little speech, and then there's always 2 or 3 younger people, for whatever reason, then roll back that cloth in a very slow method that really starts to bring out this excitement of, wow, this is amazing. Have a look at that fender. Have a look at those wheels. We know what fenders look like. We know what wheels look like. We know what a car looks like. But for some unknown reason, when we unveil that particular car, we get excited. I've been to a number of these, and you're almost at the point that you want to buy the vehicle. Well, let's take that into real estate. How do we unveil a house? How do we unveil the property to such a level that generates all that excitement? Well, the only way that you can actually do that is you've got to start to almost create this anticipation. Hey, we have this 3-bedroom house that's coming up for listing. It's got a kitchen. Wow, it is amazing. That entertainment area, you could have parties for weeks. Sitting out on that veranda, you could actually have these sundowners that creates a memory that just lasts for an entire evening and into the future. You see, an unveiling is creating this expectation. The process of unveiling is doing something where you actually are standing in front of people, whether you're actually doing it live on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok or Instagram, but you're actually standing there live. You could be outside the property. You're unveiling it. People are seeing the outside. Everyone knows what the outside of a house looks like, but it's the inside. You're creating this energy. You're creating this level of, hey, this is amazing. This is going to be something that's over the top. Now, what's great about this, you're talking about the property, but you're not showing the property. You're not just taking those pictures and sharing it with everybody where they're going, oh, it's another kitchen. You're creating an expectation where people will go, hey, have you heard? Here's this house. It's got an amazing kitchen or this entertainment area, or when you sit on the veranda with the sundowners, that curiosity starts to build within people and they want to know more. They want to see it. So when you're doing these unveilings of a property, it's all about you presenting that particular property in such a manner that it actually creates a level of interest. And it's that interest that could actually go viral. Now, you can actually extend on this and say, hey, you create a little bit of a speech about the property, and then you can actually talk about it and say, hey, and by the way, what would you like to know more about this particular property? What room really gets you interested? And if you're doing this on any of the social media platforms, they've all got something that's called comments, which creates a level of engagement. It's that level of engagement that you want it to grow. You want more people to see this unveiling video. It must be live. It must be really authentic. But you're going to get more and more people that's going to start engaging with that. The more people that engage with this property, when you finally come to list that particular property, suddenly you've got buyer interest. You've got a number of people that you've actually created an audience around. So that's the very first of launching your particular property is have some form of unveiling day. Doesn't cost you anything. Maybe a little bit of data, maybe it's a little bit of courage. But you know what? When you do it for the first time, the second and the third and the fourth time just become easier. Just take that first little step as you're going through. The second thing that you can actually do is now that you've done this particular unveiling of a property and you're starting to get interest, you can do something that a lot of agents don't do. And that is what they call pre-qualifying the buyers. You've got people that are interested, and you say to them, hey, by the way, we're only going to be listing this property in about a week's time. All right, so we've got about a week to go before we're actually going to go live, and you share that with your seller. You then say to buyers that have shown the interest, well, get yourself pre-qualified, because by getting pre-qualified, it's going to allow you to do a pre-listing tour of the property. So this is going to be before the public actually comes in, but it's on the condition that you've done a pre-qualification. Now, the importance of the pre-qualification is if they come to the property, they like the property, they're not wasting your time or the seller's time. It's actually going to be something that they are going to go, hey, I like it. And you can say, here's the paperwork, let's sign on the dotted line. So get some pre-qualified if you've got buyers that are coming through, and do a pre-listing tour of the property. Now, a pre-listing tour could be something like this. It could be a Thursday at 6 p.m. You could actually arrange for light snacks, some light drinks, soft drinks, no alcohol. You could actually have it into an environment where it becomes almost a cocktail type of party, not something that's high and expensive, something that could even be sponsored by any of your vendors that you use, bond originators, attorneys, electricians, plumbers, anybody that's around that area. Maybe even the seller is open to doing something like this. But remember, it is a free listing tour by invitation. So it becomes extremely exclusive. And it's that exclusive nature that really elevates it. They can come around the property, they can get themselves a drink, something to snack on, taking a tour around this property in this exclusive environment that really now takes that high level of, hey, here's the unveiling, this is what you're going to see, to, all right, we're pre-qualified, we're very committed, and actually going through and reviewing this particular property before it even goes live. So this is something that you can easily do, and you can actually start to set this up. Now, if you're taking notes, this is going to be your new marketing plan that you can present to a seller that can make you stand out over any other agent out there as you're going through this particular process. All right, so we've got an unveiling day. We've got a free listing tour with exclusive tour with qualified buyers. That's very important. You've got to make sure that they are qualified buyers. Then the third one, and this one I think is absolutely cool. The third one is, now that you've created this energy and excitement around this particular property, you want to elevate this property to the next level. You've unveiled that, hey, it's got an awesome kitchen, it's got a wonderful entertainment area, you've got all these sundowners. Now what you do, your third, is creating a property tour, and this could be a video tour, but with a slight difference. I want you to think of it like a documentary. I want you to think of it like you're actually being almost sponsored by National Geographic or Netflix to go and do a 20 or 25-minute property tour where you're talking about the property. And through this particular tour, you're actually going to stand outside and say, you know, it's amazing. Here's this particular front door. We're so excited to actually unveil and walk through this front door, created in some kind of documentary style, going into the kitchen, possibly even interviewing the owners, having them sit down, saying to them, so with this wonderful house, you know, how long have you been here? What got you to buy this property 25 years ago? Your family, what do they do? Create some form of connection through a documentary. And I say documentary because everybody does property tours where it's a camera that's on a gimbal, it rushes through this particular house. It's got really cheesy music sometimes. And every now and again, there's something that pops up that says, this is a kitchen, which you can obviously see. But take it to a level where the documentary actually has you talking, having these voiceovers, walking through a particular property, interviewing the owners of the actual property, maybe even doing what they refer to as B-rolls. If they've got a dog, roll the ball across the garden, let the dog chase the ball and pick up the ball, and have that as part of it. Have a look at something being cooked on the actual stove. Ask the sellers, are they prepared to stage doing a dinner? And you can video from behind, so it doesn't show the actual faces if they've got kids or anything of that nature. But take this particular property tour, not just a normal tour, take it and think of it like a documentary. Now, where did this idea come from? Well, it was just so when I remember going into that particular dealership, they had this massive television up there. And that particular television, you know what it had on it? It had a documentary about, and it was a 4x4 vehicle. It was a vehicle where they got everybody in, all the gear on. It went through the dirt, and it was actually showing this experience. I was standing there going, that's exciting. I'd like to actually do that. This is something that really couldn't. You see, what was happening was it wasn't just a video around the outside, a video going inside, and a video showing the engine, the boot, the wheel. It was actually the car in action. It gave that authentic, and it's the documentary that actually comes out, something that's very, very different. So we've unveiled the property. We've now created an interest of buyers, and they are pre-qualified, and you've done this exclusive pre-listing tour, which is almost like a cocktail party coming through the property. You've now added on this property tour, but it's the documentary tour of the property, something that someone will actually sit down and they're actually going to wait for you to bring out the next documentary because they just loved watching them. It creates more engagement on the actual property. So now you've got all of this coming through. The fourth one, and this actually circles all the way back to that first point. Meet people where they are, not just online. And this is where I started to look at the innovative. I wanted to take something that takes technology that is currently available, but really just push those boundaries way out there. And this is where this idea came in. That's not an idea that came out of my shoulders. It's an idea that I actually got from another agent. They actually invested in a 360 camera. They invested in the virtual reality headsets, those little goggles that go onto your eyes. And ultimately, they connected into particular platforms. So what they would actually do is they actually did not just your normal static photos of the property. So looking at the kitchens and the bathrooms and the lounges, they took 360 photos of that particular property. And ultimately, through the software, and there's some online software, and there are costs involved with this. So this is why this is coming right at the end. But you can actually create this virtual reality experience of the properties. Now, what is so great about this is one, the definition is extreme. Two, when you've got a client that says, hey, I want to see the property now, but your sellers have actually just gone to Italy for 2 weeks and there's nobody to open up the house. So you're unable to get inside the property to show them what it actually looks like. Or they're actually based in Cape Town and you just happen to be in Cape Town and this property is located all the way up in Messina. It's a huge, I mean, that's nearly 1,500 kilometers away. And you're actually sitting there and you're saying, well, I've got this wonderful guest lodge and I'd love to show it to you. But to get them to the property, they can't experience it. Static images don't really tell. Well, you can meet them where they are. You can sit with them at a coffee shop, in a lounge. Maybe you've even got a little stand at a shopping center and say, come experience our properties. Do you like this property? Put the headset on, load up that property, allow them to almost experience like they're walking through the property. They can look up, down, left, right, and they can actually go through that particular property. It's giving them an immersive experience without actually being there. It also allows you to do something which is quite unique. You could host a show day on, maybe you've got 10 listings. You could do a 10 listing show day with as many people as you want. Why? Well, if you're sitting at a shopping center and you have these 10 properties, you don't have to go and make arrangements to view at those properties. They just sit with a headset on and they can look around and they can see. Now, this is done by one of the top agents in South Africa. It's a different brand, but they do that on the Western Seaboard. They don't want to have just random people coming through the property. So they've actually taken these 360 tours of the property and they have a virtual tour experience of the property. From that, they can actually say, yes, I really like that. You can get them to do the pre-qualifying, going through all those processes, and you can start selling properties pretty much anywhere. Meet the buyer where they are and say, well, here's a catalog of properties. Which one would you like to see? Well, instead of taking the time to go to that, let's have a look at it right now. And you can put that headset on. So there's the fourth one, is doing not just the normal tours, but you can do an immersive tour, something where you're actually sitting. And what's great, there's a program in South Africa that's online that you can actually go and search for the Integral, Entgral, Integral. And they've actually got VR tours where you can upload your VR tours onto it. And you could actually be sitting in your particular office and you can actually take them through the property. They could be sitting in Cape Town, they could be sitting in Luxembourg, they could be sitting anywhere in the world, and they can do these tours through the particular property, have a look at it, and you can actually help to close that particular deal. So that's the fourth one, which is making these 3D tours. This one here does have the cost involved, so you build yourself up to it as you're going through. But there's something that's you really need to know when you're actually presenting a property to somebody. Now, presenting a property is taking them through the property. Make sure there is some form of memorable experience. It's not just about taking a buyer to a property, allowing them to view the property, and not allowing you to overload them with so much information that they actually feel almost intimidated. They just, I really don't know. Every time you take somebody through, I want you to think of the experience. What is the memory that when they walk away, they're going to go, wow, I remember that agent. I remember that property. What is it that's going to stand out? Is it something that everybody that comes through gets a gift? Maybe it's something where you take a selfie. Maybe it's something where you're standing outside and you say, hey, I know that you may not be interested in the property, but could you give me a video review of what you thought the property was about? Doing something that just makes sure that it links a memory to that particular property. But one thing that's very important through this entire journey, when you're having a communication and a conversation with anybody that's shown an interest, have the respect to continue the conversation with them. Don't be like one of those car salesmen where 5 of them didn't come back to me. So I didn't even buy a product from them. I bought from the person that communicated with me on an ongoing basis. So create this memorable experience with hopefully what I've shared with you is something that is maybe not unique, but it's something that you can actually do, something that you can add on that will elevate you and step out. But make sure that you keep those conversations going with those particular buyers, with those particular sellers, so they get to experience this in the same excitement that you're going to actually have when you're going through all of this process. So that is a new innovative way that you can work with your sellers to try and get those properties sold. Hopefully there's 1 or 2 of these ideas that you're going, hey, that's actually not bad. I'm going to try it out. And if you do try it out, please let me know. I want to know, how successful was it? Is it something that, hey, you know what, Stuart, I did it this way, but I found another way of actually doing it. Share that with me, because I want to get as much information to share these high innovative ideas, to take this exclusive range of professionals, no longer agents, professionals, and elevate themselves and their business to heights that makes them stand out. It makes them become the celebrity that you should actually be, the one that everybody wants to deal with. That's what I want to create. So please share it with me. Let me know. Did it work? Did it not work? Because I'm looking forward to seeing the results that actually help you through this particular journey. So if you've got any other ideas, any other saying, hey, Stuart, I'd love to know how to do this, or give me a new way to do that, pop those into comments below, pop that anywhere, message me, send me a pigeon with a little bit of seed, because we like to take care of our birds, making sure that they are fed well, especially in the winter season. So make sure that the message comes through to me, because I'm looking forward to seeing how I can create, how I can discover, how I can research to help you in your particular business. So that was how to be innovative in an environment that needs a huge amount of innovation that's going to actually take it going into the future. So we're not falling behind, we're actually leading the race. So that is an innovative way. This is Real Estate Tips and Tricks, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the actual future.